Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, Mr. Johnny the Greek. You can find him on Twitter at GDaddy80. Johnny, my man, how you doing today, brother?
Doing all right here. It's again another weird slate where a lot of the runs didn't come from the areas they're supposed to, and we're getting a lot of run production from some spots that we talked about on the Y stream today that weren't as touted, but good. A lot of the calls we talked about today came true. Kind of talked about St. Louis against Mikolas. Kind of talked about Mikolas. He was okay in cash, but I had some concerns with the weather there and so on and so forth in the humidity. And Padres hit him a little bit. And, we talked about Nola was a good option today. We just didn't want to spend up there, and we liked John Gray. And John Gray gave us some runs, but still got a bunch of strikeouts. So it got us there anyway. So, pretty good day. I think we got a lot right today. So that's always a positive.
Yeah. No, you and Cam did the Y stream. I thought you guys did a pretty good job. I ended up pitching Nola and Gray together, which that worked out well. The issue was, of course, I stacked the Cardinals, and that didn't work out so well. So that was where I got burned today, man. The White Sox did come through for me. Of all, when you stack a team, you don't want to stack like the Cardinals and the White Sox. The White Sox are just the Cardinals are just they're not the ones that you would expect to let you down. But that's DFS, man. Variance, as they say, I guess, right? Stram looked good.
Yeah, but 2 days in. Yeah, and then you get 2 days in a row of the Indians just not doing anything, against the White Sox. So a little different.
Big game James Shields was doing his thing. Anyway, man, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. We're going to only do the main slate today, and the reason for that, folks, is we got 9 games on the main slate, and the U.S. Open, I believe it's the U.S. Open, U.S. Open PGA stream, Y stream is coming up next. So for those of you that have access, it should be a pretty good show. We got Paulie D and Cash breaking down the golf PGA event. Millie Maker, big money. I know Johnny's won himself some tickets through MLB, so I know he'll throw a few out there. He'll be paying attention to some of the Wise Take PGA content. So a quick shameless plug, guys. If you don't have access to it, you might want to check it out at wisetake.com. I think it's $4.99 to get in. Of course, you can buy an all sports package and get a little bit of baseball action too. But if you don't play PGA and you're interested in trying it, this is probably the right week for it. I mean, why not? You never know. Millie Makers?
A ton of money this week out there. Ton of money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not just the Millie Maker, everything. They're loaded.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this slate right here. Main slate, of course, starts off with Tyler Anderson, the lefty from the Colorado Rockies, visiting Nick Pivetta of the Philadelphia Phillies. Total here is 8. Philly minus 150 at home. What do you got?
Yeah, so I think in general, the Rockies showed a little poise today by coming back from a little bit of a deficit today. So that showed a little bit. Normally they only do that in Colorado. So I like that they're scoring some runs late. I think tomorrow though, I do have some interest in Nick Pivetta at this price, $7,500. It's a pretty good price for him to, so I like that. And then on the other side, I'm not really interested in Tyler Anderson. A lot of these righties can definitely get to him. But I do have some interest in the lefties here. Pavetta's, a good pitcher, but he's not a Nola, so I definitely think like guys like Blackmon, Arenado, and Carlos Gonzalez are in play tomorrow. But at this really cheap price, $7,500, I think he's a fine GPP play. And depending on what we find down at the bottom, he might be even in cash consideration. Mute, CK.
Damn it, good call. I think Pivetta has been he's been really good this year. Got to be their most improved pitcher. Well, I guess it's close between him and Velasquez, but Pivetta, I didn't realize until this season that he even had this much upside. I've been impressed. He gets a matchup here with the Rockies, who Nola just didn't work against today. His hard contact rate is down to 27.5 overall. I think I'm with you. I think Pivetta is definitely an option, man. It seems like he's got a little more separation between his slider velocity and his fastball velocity this year, which certainly can help in the strikeouts department. So, yeah, man, I think Pivetta is definitely an option. At 7.5, I think he's a little underpriced. I mean, that maybe he'll end up being popular because of that. But 7.5 just feels too cheap. I mean, weren't we paying like in the 9s for this dude not too long ago? Like, you know, I understand the Giants beat him up, but I'm pretty sure Pivetta has pitched better at home also. So obviously the one thing we got to look out for is Charlie Blackmon. I know he didn't look all that great today, but we do know, as Cass mentioned yesterday, he seems to like to hit in this ballpark. But Pivetta definitely on board with Anderson. I don't know. The Phillies seem like they're starting to hit a little bit now. You know, they're striking out a ton. Obviously, like John Gray, he still finished fine. I mean, he got like 10 Ks even after that 3-run bomb. So I still think there's some strikeout upside. I prefer righties against Phillies though. You know, and then you got like Altair. All of a sudden becomes a better hitter against lefties. You got Rhys Hoskins, who you're a little afraid of, unless the guy's like dominant. And Tyler Anderson, while I think he's decent, he's not dominant, but he is cheap. He is cheap. We'll give him that. But Pivetta definitely seems like the standout so far. Moving on to the next, we got Eric Fetty of the Washington Nationals visiting Sonny Gray of Paulie Dizzle's New York Yizzles. We don't have a spread or a total for this game because I'm assuming because the Nationals were late to announce Fetty. But we do know that for these Nationals, Adam Eaton and Daniel Murphy are both back. It's going to be 77 degrees, 74% humidity, and a little bit of wind blowing out to left slightly, about 9 miles per hour. Johnny, what are your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, so definitely I have interest basically in the bats here, none of the pitching here. Even if Sonny Gray's looked a little better, there's just a bunch of good lefties here. Adam Eaton at the top. Trey Turner as a righty still hits righties really well. Your hitter crushes righties. He's back in play. And we got Matt Adams and Rendon here. So and Juan Soto. So, I mean, really look at it. There's 1 through 7s, a bunch of good plays here, a bunch of good hitters. So I really like them. And on the other side, the Yankees, same kind of guys I talked about today that I really liked. I really liked Didi today. I wrote him up today. He definitely came through today, so I liked him. I like Brett Gardner tomorrow, and I like Greg Bird tomorrow. I think they're all in play tomorrow against Freddie. I think you can look at some of these righties too. I think this is a good spot for Judge and for Stanton, but I'm more focused on the lefties for the value and just better spots.
Yeah, I mean, definitely seems like an interesting enough spot for Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray has looked a little bit better lately. Check up I don't have any of my stats in front of me, but I just want to check out his game. Yeah, he's been pretty damn good. Wow. He had a great game against Baltimore, but then I think we were all kind of like, well, it was Baltimore. Then he went out there against Toronto, went 8 innings with 8 strikeouts. He does seem to be getting his stuff together a little bit. With that said, I just don't love this matchup for him. I think that with Adam Eaton back and with Murphy back, especially with the short porch, all those lefties, I don't know. It's just seems like a little bit of a problem to me. So it's going to be hard not to like the Nationals in this spot with the short porch against Sonny Gray with their full lineup back. The thing is, I do expect like Daniel Murphy and Adam Eaton to take a game or two or maybe a series or two to actually get going. So I don't know how much I'll actually roster them. But on paper, it's tough to look at Sonny Gray and want to pitch him against all these guys healthy, with all these lefties in this ballpark. As far as Fetty, man, absolutely. I think Fetty's supposed to be pretty good, but from what I've seen from him, the little I've seen of him, I haven't liked it. I don't know if he's quite there yet. So I think the Yankees at home are certainly fine, and I expect them to be pretty popular. Next up, we got Andrew Suarez of Johnny the Freak's San Francisco Giants visiting Caleb Smith of them Miami Marlins. Total here is 7.5. Miami minus 105. We've seen a drastic dip in Caleb Smith's strikeout upside as of late. What do you got here, Johnny?
Yeah, no, we talked about this earlier in the year where he just wasn't that kind of guy, and he was just pitching a little bit above his head. So we're starting to see a little bit of a regression there. I don't think he's as big of a strikeout guy as that he has proclaimed to be with his numbers, but I still think he's a good pitcher. I don't think he's a $9,100 pitcher, and I don't think I'll go here tomorrow at this price where there's some pitchers I like that are a little bit more expensive or cheaper that are the same kind of caliber. So I think I'm going to fade him tomorrow. But I really don't want to take a lot of guys against him. I think that some of these bats are in play here, but in this big ballpark, I don't really think I want to take a lot of the Giants' bats. Maybe a couple one-offs here, maybe like a Gorkis Hernandez. I could definitely go there at the top, or Andrew McCutchen, maybe one of those guys. But that's really it. And the Andrew Suarez, $7,100. Like, I get it. It's just a little too expensive. I think Brian Anderson's a great one-off here. Even Cameron Maybin batting fourth tomorrow. in the projected lineup. That looks good. So those would probably be the two guys I'd look at. Even Sterling Castro leading off. I think those three guys here could definitely get to Suarez. So I'm not interested tomorrow in either of the pitchers. I'm really not 100% sold on this game. It's just a little sprinklings of the players I talked about.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on the pitchers. I'm not really into either of them. Caleb Smith at 9-1 just seems a little too expensive. I'm not willing to write him off totally just yet, but at 9-1, I just think that there's better options. I just don't think it's wise to spend it. Plus, the Giants aren't striking out that much anymore. Like, they're really not. Like, the lineup they have out there now is it's kind of halted. I mean, if you look at their projected lineup, most of these guys, I mean, you're looking at like a 17% strikeout rate. Like, even especially if Panic's in there, man, which I don't know if he will because it's a lefty, but that dude never strikes out. That guy's crazy. But like Buster Posey has like a 7.8% strikeout rate against lefties this season, and then Evan Longoria at 14.9. Like Crawford, who's a lefty, only 21.6. So I don't know. Depending on the lineup we get, either way, I don't think I wanted to do it with Caleb Smith. One thing I will say about Caleb Smith is he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. If they happen to open this roof, I think the Giants become way more appealing if that ball could carry. And then I'd be looking at guys like Andrew McCutchen, Nick Hundley, Mac Williamson, Evan Longoria, and even Brandon Crawford, who has been hot. He's been actually hitting lefties well this year. So it definitely would be a boost to those Giants. And as far as Suarez, I think he's pitching better. It's awesome, but I don't take lefties against the Marlins. Honestly, I don't take very many pitchers against the Marlins, and not going to be lefties either. There's just not enough upside there from a strikeout perspective. Moving on, we've got Jose Berrios of the Minnesota Twins visiting Matt Boyd of the Detroit Tigers. Total here is 8.5. Detroit plus 150 home underdogs. Looks like we've got about 78 degrees, 40% humidity, and potentially 14-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to center. We'll see if that holds up tomorrow. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, so there's a few concerns here. You know, Berrios is definitely a much better pitcher at home. Being away, it's not about the ballpark. It's just about him, his comfort level, I think. At this price, I don't think I can go to him tomorrow in cash. I just think his price is a little too prohibitive. And a bunch of these hitters here, hit righties well. So Leonis Martin again, he's like the unsung hero in DFS. Nobody ever plays him, and he just keeps raking. So I think there's a couple of guys here that I can get to him tomorrow. I think he's fine in GPP. He's just not a cash game play for me tomorrow. Especially Detroit's been scoring some runs lately, been playing pretty well, and they're not a big strikeout team. So for me, I don't think I can go to Berrios tomorrow in cash, but I like a lot of the bats here against Matt Boyd. Kepler is one of my favorite plays. Max Kepler, he hits lefties better this year than righties. I like him a lot today. I like Sano. I like Escobar. I like Dozier. I like Rosario even from the left side. And don't sleep on Adrianza. I tell people this every day. This guy just keeps producing. He's too cheap for what he's able to do. And Leonis Martin on the other side for me.
Yeah, I don't think I have any just Berrios on the road. You mentioned the home and road splits. I know Detroit is one of the weaker offenses, and they did just lose Miggy. You heard what happened to Miggy, man? Oh, man.
Strain. I know he strained like a bicep strain or something, right?
Tendon. He's done for the season.
I didn't know that. I just saw him wincing in pain.
Done for the season. So that's a shame, man. But either way, the Tigers still have enough guys. They're pesky enough. They don't strike out a ton. And like you said, we know Berrios, so we only like to pitch him at home, man. His home and road splits are just too drastic. So Matt Boyd, I could consider. Like, don't get me wrong. I still think some of these Twins are in play because I kind of refuse to believe that they're so bad against lefties. Like, I think eventually that's going to change. But for now, they are still kind of weak against lefties. I mean, today most of their runs came from a grand slam by your boy, the guy Johnny always talks about, Andriaza. And so with that said, I think Boyd's a little bit better than Blaine Hardy. I think Boyd's got a 10% swinging strike rate, something like that. I think he's okay. I don't like those 14-mile-per-hour winds. And there may be other options to where I don't really have to play this guy. So this is a situation where I think Boyd's an option. But I don't mind some of these Twins as well, given the 14-mile-per-hour winds and the bad bullpen behind Boyd. So moving on. We've got Trevor Bauer of the Cleveland Indians visiting Dylan Covey, my boy, of the Chicago White Sox. Total here is 8.5. Chicago plus 160, home underdog, 75 degrees, 46% humidity out in Chi-Town. What you got?
So this is going to be another day of Cleveland Indians playing a mediocre righty and just can't score any runs because this could be this tomorrow. The guys I'm always, you always need to worry about are going to be Makata at the top here. Even Omar Sanchez is pretty good. And Polka, he's been hitting pretty well. Those are the three guys you're worried about here with Bauer. I really don't like Bauer's price at 11.5. I think he's a good pitcher. I just don't like him at these prices. I don't like him over 10K. So probably won't go there tomorrow. Covey's been showing a lot. Like I always consider this guy a gas can, but he's been pitching his way out of things lately. And as cold as the Cleveland bats have been, I don't think I'm going to go on the third day of taking these Indians doing nothing against a White Sox pitcher. I think tomorrow's going to be a fade for me on the Indians either way. I think Covey's okay tomorrow. I think at 5,500, maybe we can use him with some GPPs.
Yeah, I think Kobe's decent, and he's pitched decent. I pitched him against the Red Sox. That was very terrifying, but he came through. I don't like the price increase. 5.5 is like kind of in that range where like now you kind of need him now you need the double digits. If you pitch him in the 4s and he gets you an 8 or a 9, it's like no big deal. Now at 5.5, you're like, okay, you got to go out there and give me at least like a 13, 14, something like that for me to be happy. And it's against the Cleveland Indians. We know the Cleveland Indians are a much worse team offensively on the road, so we have a check mark there. We've seen the Indians struggle for 2 straight games offensively. Check mark there. But I'm not sure that I'm quite ready to write off all these Indians. I do think that at some point they could wake up in the series. It's a good ballpark. But I do think Covey is in consideration. I don't mind it so much. And Bauer at 11.5 is interesting, man. He's coming off another game where he went deep into the game, 8 innings, through like 116 pitches. So we want to monitor that. The last time he was in that situation against Houston, he didn't do so hot. Against Houston, he threw 127, so that was a lot of pitches. 116 isn't as bad. But he did go deep, he did go long, so we're going to want to think about that. It is the White Sox, though, and we know they strike out a ton. So plenty of upside here for Mr. Bauer. Moving on, we got Tyler Mahle of the Cincinnati Reds visiting Jason Hamels of those Kansas City Royals. Total here is 9.5. Kansas City plus 110. Home underdogs, 85 degrees, 43% humidity. Going to be warm and humid yet again. Of course, the atmosphere is very disappointing today. What do you got, Johnny?
Yeah, so I watched this game today a little bit. And it didn't really do anything till the end of the game. Great hitting weather, but just both teams just kind of at a standstill here until the 9th inning when Tucker Barnhart hit that home run to tie the game. This Reds offense is a lot better. They should have put up a lot more runs today. I think going against Hamels tomorrow is a better match for them on paper, so I think that this is going to be a breakout spot for them tomorrow. First look here, I really like these Reds. I really hope that they keep Scott Schebler at the top of the lineup. I really like that. I really like this projected lineup that they're showing me right now. It's probably one of their better lineups they have. So if they roll with this tomorrow, I'm in on this game as a stack for sure. Tyler Mahle is not a terrible pitcher. Just the weather concerns here and the total kind of have me off of him on this price. I like him a little cheaper. But I think on the Royal side, you could definitely look at the usual characters. Sal Perez, Moustakas, Whit Merrifield, and Solar would be the preferable plays.
Yeah, this game was super disappointing. I didn't actually play too much from this game. I think Scott Schebler was the only guy I played. But just in general, the game was such a big disappointment. I really thought it was going to be a situation. Because, you knew the ownership was going to be low, and it's like, oh, it's a big park. But at the same time, but it's really hot. Great dew points, great weather. We should see the ball fly. Maybe it'll be sneaky. And that wasn't the case. They're going to be in pretty much the exact same situation with similar pitchers. Mahle is obviously a little better than Romano. And then you got Jason Hamels, who was probably, I guess it's arguable who's better between him and
he's a little worse, let's just say it.
Yeah, at least he and Kennedy can strike guys out. Oh, yeah, I could side with you on that.
Yeah.
Over Hamels' career, I know he was a little bit better back in the day, but over his career, the Reds have never really hit him well. Haven't done a ton. It's I don't know, maybe it's going to be disappointing. I do think it's a great hitting atmosphere, but maybe the park is just too much, and maybe these teams just don't have enough power. I agree with you that Mahle is actually, I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's as bad as some of these other Red starters like Sal Romano, etc. And Sal Romano had a good game today. So I'd like to play Whit Merrifield, Perez, Moose, Soler. I'd like to do it. I don't know if I can. I think I could play Hunter Dozier if I needed a value first baseman. He looks pretty good. And then I want to take Schebler. I want to take Votto and Jeanette and Duval and Suarez and all these guys, but they just, the Reds just haven't been the same Reds, man.
So expensive.
And they're crazy expensive. They're crazy expensive, and they haven't been the same Reds. Like last year, the Reds were one of my favorite DFS teams to play. On the road, home, didn't matter. Loved playing. This year, they've been disappointing, I feel like, more times than not, even in the best hitting atmosphere. So hopefully at some point we get them back, because I do like to play those guys.
I think the one play I really like all the time now is ever since they moved Tucker Barnhart
in front of Votto,
up to set number 2, and he's up to number 2 here, and they never raise his price, $3,200 every day, $3,200. Yeah, and he's good. Oh my God, I don't know.
He's been doing extremely well. Because again, I've been saying it all season. You put whoever's in front of Joey Votto is going to get a ton of great pitches to hit, and he happens to be the guy. When he hits second, he does better. He does a lot better when he hits second than when he's hitting like 7th or 8th. You know what I mean? When he's in front of Votto, he's going to get some good pitches, and it's going to help him out.
That's why in the beginning of the year, Peraza was doing so well, because they had him batting 2, and he was batting up above Votto. So yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got Eric Lauer, the lefty from the San Diego Padres, visiting Luke Weaver of those St. Louis Cardinals, the ones that screwed me so bad today. Total here is 8.5. St. Louis minus 205 at home. 85 degrees, 46% humidity. Once again, a phenomenal hitting environment in St. Louis. What are you doing here, Johnny?
It all depends on what Luke Weaver we're going to get. Are we going to get the real Luke Weaver, or are we going to get Jared Weaver? Yeah. If it's Luke Weaver, the way he looked in the beginning of the year, he looked good. I liked him. He was pitching well. But if we're going to get his brother that's dressed up like him, I don't want him. I don't want those mid-80, 79-mile-an-hour fastballs. So I think anybody can hit those. This weather just kind of takes me off. It definitely lowers my interest in him. He's cheap enough, though, where I think it's kind of built in, the price. So $7,700 is not bad. I just don't know if I can trust him yet in cash. So I think it'll be a GPP-only play for me for him. I just like him as a pitcher too much. On the other side, no Eric Lauer for me. He's really cheap, but I can't go here. Way too many good righties here in this lineup. I think tomorrow is going to be a resurgent here of St. Louis. Kind of talked about it on the Wise Take today, and I told people I wasn't really on the Cardinals in general, just because their pitcher was actually not that bad. I was actually thinking of streaming him too today. It's not that bad of a pitcher, so he came show today that he isn't that bad. So I don't think Eric Lauer is a good pitcher. I've watched him too much. I think that you can definitely stack all these guys here tomorrow against them. And in the Padres, I don't have a ton of interest. Maybe some interest in Hosmer and Jankowski at the top. And I can always play Rafi Lopez at catcher.
Yeah, Weaver's not the same guy this year as he was last year. And so at 7-7, I think he will be somewhat popular because he always is. I don't know how interested I'm going to be. I know it's the Padres, but the Padres have kind of been hot-ish. I think Flaherty had a pretty good game against them. But we saw today, I think, Mikola struggled against him today. Just couldn't get the job done. And it is a great hitting atmosphere. So Weaver, I'm going to have to dig in on. But his xFIP and everything, it's just it just doesn't look to be the same. I still think he's a decent pitcher. He just doesn't look as good as he looked last year. As far as offenses go, I agree with you. Hosmer's been red hot. Renfroe, some of these guys, some of these Padres have been heating up. I think some of those guys, maybe one-offs, are fine. And then the Cardinals, man, I'm going to go back. I think you're right about Strand. Paulie D was telling me the same thing. The guy was apparently a prospect at one point over in Kansas City. So he looked really good against the Cardinals. But when you look at the Cardinals' numbers, there's a reason that we like the Cardinals against lefties. It just so happens that this one, I think, is a lot worse than the other one. So I'm going to want to go back to the Cardinals. A great hitting environment. I know they were bad, but if you look at their numbers against lefties, like Molina, Gyorko, Bader, Munoz, all those guys have hit lefties very well. And Ozuna, man, the guy is just red hot right now. He's like their only offense today. He got hit by a pitch. He got an RBI single. That was it. So, yeah, I think the Cardinals are a team I'm going to have to go back to because I think Lauer is that bad. Next up, Gerrit.
I completely agree with you, 100%.
Gerrit Cole of the Houston Astros visiting Paul Blackburn of those Oakland Athletics. Total here is 8. Oakland plus 165, home underdog. 67 degrees, 63% humidity. Out in Oakland, what do you got?
Yeah, so I guess what's the second start we're getting from Paul Blackburn. It's been a while since he's been in our DFS lives, but he pitched a really good game his last game out. You know, he's not a big K guy. He only got 3 Ks, but he was very, very clean through his game against Kansas City. He's only $4,800. He was $4,000 last start. 3 Ks. He went 6 innings. Gave up a home run, but he was pretty efficient here. 19.7 DK points. Don't expect that today, though. You're going to see his box score and his price at $4,800 and his ERA at 1.5, and you're going to say, sign me up. But no, Paul, don't do it. He's not a big K guy. This isn't a good spot for him against Houston. Houston is going to put out a good lineup today. They've been hitting righties extremely well this year. Maybe if he was a lefty, I would consider it because they've been struggling against lefties. But other than that, this guy's going to get his face smashed in tomorrow. I like Gerrit Cole tomorrow a ton. Gerrit Cole's going to probably be the cash game chalk tomorrow with Nick Pivetta, and these Astros are going to be very popular. It's going to be a great stack. They don't have a high total, but whenever Gerrit Cole's on the mound and he's pitching, he's popular, and so are the Astros. So I really like this stack tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gerrit Cole's probably your safest option here. Got a good ballpark, much better than the park he pitches in. He's just been phenomenal this year. Swinging strike rate, everything looks good. So I'm with you, man. In tournaments 13-2, I may try to get away from him a little bit, try to find a better point per dollar play to get some bats in. But I do agree with you. In cash games, it's kind of hard to pass upon his floor, man. It just seems like, I know he's expensive, but if you can make it work, it just seems like it's just solid. He's played Oakland twice this year, struck out 12 in the first game, 9 in the second, put up just under 30 in both games. It's like, you're working with such a high floor with Gerrit Cole that it's hard not to like that in a cash environment, or even in like a single entry type environment if you can find that SP2. I agree with you. I know that the total is not super high for Houston, but I do think the Houston bets are in play here against Paul Blackburn. They look pretty good today. Maybe they're waking up. Paul Blackburn, not a guy that strikes dudes out, so I'd expect the Astros to put some of these balls in play. Last game here, Cole Hamels of the Texas Rangers, the lefty, visiting Kenta Maeda, making his return from the DL, since screwing me and a bunch of other people. Total here is 7.5. The Dodgers minus 170 at home, 78 degrees, 38% humidity. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so the Dodgers heating up. They're really shellacking Texas right now. I think the Dodgers are going to go on one of the hot streaks right now. They've been getting healthy, and Jock Peterson's just been hitting home runs every day. Same thing with Bellinger. So I think the Dodgers stack's firmly in play. I think you got to look at these guys. I don't care that it's a lefty tomorrow. They're just too hot right now. Once Cole Hamels goes out, it's going to be a righty coming out from the bullpen. A lot of guys fear these guys from the bullpen because they throw hard, but the Dodgers are one of those teams that hit hard fastballs better than anybody else. Yasmani Grandal, that guy absolutely mashes the hard fastballs, and Bellinger's pretty good at them too. So, I'm not really afraid of that tomorrow with this. Getting Kenta Maeda, I always have concerns with Dodger pitchers. Again, it kind of bit me a little bit tonight, but I do have some interest in Maeda tomorrow, but I do have fear whenever Dave Roberts is the coach of the team I'm picking pitchers for. I have some interest, but I don't know if I can go here and cash because of my concerns. I have no interest in Cole Hamels tomorrow. I do have some interest in these lefties on Texas. I can definitely see them getting to Maeda tomorrow. There's just too much power there. At the same time as I can see Kenta Maeda having a good game. So that's why it's a GPP play for me only, but I really like the Dodgers stack.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are just really hot right now, and I know it's a lefty, I agree, but they still have a couple of guys now, like Matt Kemp has hit lefties well, Justin Turner is back in the lineup, and Logan Forsythe is back, so they do have a couple guys that can get to him, I think, so I think the Dodgers are fine. I really like Matt Kemp and Turner the most. Forsythe I'm okay with as a punt option, so cheap, even though he's been a huge disappointment since going to the Dodgers. Don't really have interest in Maeda. I mean, he's 9.4. He's not doing a ton of discounts for me to pick him over Bauer or to go up from him from someone else. This doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. And honestly, I'm not in the business of picking on the Rangers right now. I think that with Beltre back, like this team lately, just in general, has had a little bit of a different attitude. Like some of these guys are hitting a lot better. Even today, they were able to put a couple runs up on there. So they're not striking out as much as their standings would tell you. They're kind of on the decline there. I wouldn't be surprised if in a week from now, if they drop pretty significantly down those charts. They're just not striking out a ton, especially against righties. They got a lot of lefties that could put the bat on the ball, like Sin-Soo Choo. Nomar Mazara is questionable. If they're missing him, that could be an issue because we know Joey Gallo does strike out a ton. But guys like Beltre, like they really don't strike out a ton. So I'm not really on my 80 either. I don't want to get Roberts, of course, either. I think one time was enough, and you're curious after a little DL stint, how closely they'll be watching him. But I do think the Dodgers' bats are in play for sure. And that is going to do it for the game-by-game breakdown. Real quick, before we do the top threes, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already, check us out at wisestake.com. I don't know what you're waiting for. Come rock with us. Check out the nation, wisestake.com. Tomorrow is a great day to get a day pass, as me and Johnny always say, because tomorrow we have 2 slates. So we only cover the main slate here, but we will be having articles for the early slate. Johnny the Freak taking care of the cash games, all right up to GPPs. We'll get an expert poll done. You can actually, the expert poll is one of the cooler things that we have. You can actually look and see like what some of our analysts, what their like the main questions of a slate. You get them right there. They're answered by everybody. Get everybody's different opinion. It's like picking a bunch of different people's brains at once. It's awesome. So you'll get that. You'll get the articles for GPPs and cash games. Possibly a Cam cheat sheet, which are getting really popular, by the way. Shout out to Cam, man. He's doing a great job with those. And that's just for the early slate. For the main slate, you will get more articles. You will get, hopefully, another cheat sheet. You will get a Wise stream, which is basically something like this. But an hour and a half before lock, we actually do one of these after our research is done. And we dig in a little bit deeper and tell you guys what we're playing, what we found. And, obviously this show, we try our best, but it is a first look. It's kind of just our first initial thoughts. Tomorrow on the live stream, you'll get our opinions for the main slate after we've actually done all the work and the research. So tomorrow's a great day to check it out. $2.50 gets you in for the day. You get you pay for one day and you get 2 slates. Not a bad deal. So $2.50. Come check it out. Come rock with us. See what we have to offer. No strategy session tomorrow for those of you that are wondering. When we have 2 slates, we don't do the strategy session. But anyway... don't forget, guys, golf, the U.S. Open. Tonight we're doing the Y stream. I think lock is going to be on Thursday morning. I'm assuming it's Thursday morning because it always is. But the U.S. Open, huge golf event, huge money out there on FanDuel and DraftKings for PGA. So even if you're not normally into golf, I mean, this might be a time where you want to have a little fun, play a little bit, throw a horse in the race. And you never know, man. It's a lot of money out there, like Johnny said. All right, Johnny, top threes, my man. Who are your top 3 pitchers for tomorrow?
First, I just wanted to add something really quick to the Dodgers, CK. I just want to throw this out there that remember that the Dodgers are really hurt at pitching right now, and Buehler is now done probably for the year. So the Dodgers are going to be really careful with their pitchers. So when you're talking about with Maeda being injured coming off the DL tomorrow, it's a great case that you pull. Just be really careful when the Dodgers are priced really high to take shots on them because there is a chance they could get pulled if there's any inkling that they're hurt or any kind of injury. I just want to throw that out there. Just make sure everybody out there knows in the nation because we got burned a couple times already this year from Dave Roberts, and I just want to make sure everybody is cautious with that. Absolutely.
All right, Johnny, top 3 pitchers. Who you got?
Yeah, so for me, pitchers tomorrow, the way it's looking right now, it's Gerrit Cole at the top. He's a top arm to pay for. I really have my eye on Nick Pivetta tomorrow at his price. He just looks a little too cheap. But yeah, I like that. And the last guy I'm interested in is probably going to be Luke Weaver. He's probably the guy that intrigues me the most at his price. And against the Padres, I just got to dive into him a little bit more and see where his velocity is at right now.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Pivetta certainly makes my list on a first look anyway. Then I'd probably go at Trevor Bauer in hopes to get off of the more expensive Gerrit Cole. But it's hard to, I got to go with Gerrit Cole as at least the high floor option. So very similar. Top 3 stacks, man. What do you think?
Yeah, so under owned tomorrow, I think we're going to see a lot of these popular stacks again. I think a lot of people are finally going to get off the Indians, but I think tomorrow's the wrong time to get off the Indians, to be honest with you. I think tomorrow's a good Indians day. I don't think they're going to struggle 3 days in a row here, but we'll see. That's one spot here, and I like this Dodgers stack. I think it's going to go unowned because it's a lefty, and the last one here is going to be the Cardinals. Tomorrow's going to be the Cardinals' return to victory day. I like the Cardinals.
I like the Cardinals also. I'll throw in. I actually think I'm going to like this Yankee national game a little bit more than I thought I would. But looking at the rest of the spots, not a ton I love. So yeah, I'll go Cardinals and then I'll go Nationals and Yankees, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what I'll dig in tomorrow. Anyway, that's going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please like and share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching us on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow. You can find us on Twitter at @wise_take. And of course, please do us the like and the retweet thing. And of course, if you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews, help bump us up those charts. Really helps us out, really means a lot to us. It allows us to continue to do these free shows for you guys most nights. Johnny, anything in closing before we get out of here?
No, yeah. Tomorrow's a great day to do these, to do the double slate with us. You can check it out. But I'll tell you guys this: CK, a very modest dude, but this guy's a really, really smart DFS dude, especially in baseball. And you should just check out his strategy sessions during the week when we only have a 1-game slate. You'll learn a lot from it. He can definitely help you break down and win some money.
Appreciate it, Johnny. That's what we do at the Wise Take Nation, man. All of us, man. We're here to help you guys win that dough, and that's what we do. Anyways, for Johnny the Freak, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Ship it.